And good morning to you. You are watching Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday morning. We appreciate it. I'm Heather Childers.
And I'm Rob Schmidt. Thanks for starting your day with us. A Fox News alert now. President Trump setting a new strategy for the war in Afghanistan, shifting focus from nation building to killing terrorists.
Cliff Jenkins is live for us in Washington, D.C. with reaction on our commander-in-chief ramping up the pressure on Pakistan. Good morning.
Good morning, Heather and Rob. That's right. The president vowing to fight to win, committing the world's greatest fighting force, but saying that the United States commitment will not be unlimited. It's not a blank check, saying the new strategy will certainly be one that he hopes will lead us to some victory. Here's what the president had to say.
We are a partner and a friend, but we will not dictate to the Afghan people how to live or how to govern their own complex society. We are not nation building again. We are killing terrorists.
The new strategy won't be based on timeline, but rather conditioned based. No troop numbers were given last night, but it's likely that we'll get that Pentagon's additional 4,000 that's been proposed. The new strategy puts Pakistan on notice and asks India to shoulder more of the load from now on, and says that victory will have a clear definition. The reaction to the new path forward was mixed. Conservative Senator Rand Paul unalterably opposed to any troop increase, saying that the mission in Afghanistan has lost its purpose, but fellow Republican Lindsey Graham took the opposite view.
I will fight Senator Paul tooth and nail to make sure that we don't lose in Afghanistan like we did in Iraq. It's just exactly what President Obama did in Iraq, was to leave against sound military advice.
And by fight, Senator Graham may be previewing what will likely be a very contentious appropriations fight in Congress.
To my colleagues in Congress, you will own a no vote. The next 9/11 will be your fault, not President Trump's fault, if you shoot down this plan, because this is a solid plan. This will turn things around.
This is Secretary of Defense James Mattis landing in Baghdad, Iraq, just a few hours ago, meeting with the prime minister and military leaders there in the fight against ISIS. And later today, President Trump traveling to Yuma, Arizona, visiting a Marine Corps base, and a trip to the border, and finishing tonight in Phoenix at a big rally. Guys?
All right, Griff, thanks so much.
Thanks, Griff. Yeah, a positive response overwhelmingly when you talk to people who are in the military or you talk to Republicans. A couple things drastically different than President Obama. One, no timetable. Two, the rules of engagement determined on the ground by the generals there instead of Washington, D.C. And then three, the stated mission, which is to not nation build, but instead kill terrorists.
Yeah, let's go to a soundbite now from Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North.
For the very first time, we have a definition of victory: attacking the enemies and obliterating ISIS and AQ, and preventing the Taliban from taking over, and stopping terrorists from killing and attacking Americans. Straightforward and good stuff, and the right thing to say, certainly in the aftermath of 8 years of the previous administration. He's going to shift from a time-based to a condition-based decision on any withdrawal. He's going to integrate the military, diplomatic, and economic instruments of power and put Pakistan on notice. And the idea of not giving away instances of when the troops are coming, when they're going, and what we're going to do to attack, all very, very good, long overdue. And obviously, this is going to make a difference.
And it was also just kind of nice to have a speech last night that made us seem more aggressive, more on the offense. I think a lot of people saw it as a sign of American strength and fortitude and our world policy and stuff, which I think we lacked in 8 years of Obama, which just made us seem somewhat passive, and we were able to kind of be nudged and trounced on a little bit. Let's go to a quick sound bite from Paul Ryan, as the Republicans really liked what they heard last night.
What I heard tonight for the first time, this is what I wasn't briefed on, is I think I heard a new Trump strategy, or a doctrine, so to speak. Principled realism, I think, is how he described it.
But then on the other side of the coin, of course, you had Democrats almost immediately speaking out against what the president had to say. This is what Nancy Pelosi had to say. She said that the President Trump announced his decision to put thousands more Americans in harm's way in Afghanistan. The president's announcement is in sharp contrast to the statements he made before he was president. Tonight, the president said he knew what he was getting into and had a plan to go forward. Clearly, he did not. The president's announcement is low on details, but raises serious questions. low on details, specifically on purpose. As he mentioned, we don't want to give away too much, as we did previously.
So that they can't just wait out whatever we're going to do and then make an effort as soon as we're done. All right, yeah. So that handles that. Let's go on to some other news now. To a Fox News alert, more than 40 people hurt, 4 critically after a high-speed train crashed into another train parked at one of the busiest stations overnight. The scene right outside of Philadelphia at the 69th Street Transportation Center in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. Authorities say the train, packed with people, came flying around a corner. It did not slow down before smashing into an empty train at the terminal. One passenger says it was experiencing issues. The train was right before the accident.
My face hit the wall, put a big hole in the wall, and then I went straight down. I blacked out. There's blood everywhere. Yeah, the driver is all banged up.
It is certainly incredible nobody was killed. SEPTA says 42 people were on the train, and all 42 were injured, including the train's conductor. 4 taken to the hospital in critical condition. One of the tracks shut down as police investigate. Passengers should expect some pretty hefty delays during the morning rush because of this. And still ahead, a live report where investigators are digging through wreckage to piece together, trying to figure out exactly what happened here.
Also breaking right now, divers searching flooded compartments and rescue crews scouring the waters off of Singapore as 10 Navy sailors remain unaccounted for. This, as we learn, a major security breach could have sent an oil tanker slamming into an American warship. Kelly Wright joins us now live with those breaking details from overnight. Good morning, Kelly.
Heather, good morning to you as well. Very grim news here. Fears of a cyber attack after the warship collision in the South China Sea. On Twitter, Chief of Naval Operations Admiral John Richardson revealing there is a possibility of cyber intrusion or sabotage. The military considering all possibilities right now, but no word on any potential suspects. The Navy now suspending operations for safety checks.
Want our fleet commanders to get together with their leaders and their commands to ensure that we're taking all appropriate immediate actions to ensure safe and effective operations around the world.
That is a top priority. Meanwhile, 3 navies, the U.S., Singapore, and Malaysia, are searching a large area for a second day with U.S. 7th Fleet divers exploring flooded compartments of the ship in search of those missing sailors. President Trump expressing his concern during his national address about Afghanistan.
We send our thoughts and prayers to the families of our brave sailors who were injured and lost after a tragic collision at sea, as well as to those conducting the search and recovery efforts.
The USS John McCain collided with an oil tanker in the Strait of Malacca near Singapore, sustaining damage to its left side, water flooding compartments of the ship. This is the 4th crash involving a U.S. Navy destroyer ship this year. In June, 7 sailors were killed when the USS Fitzgerald collided with a container ship off Japan. And then the USS Antietam ran aground near Japan in January. And the USS Lake Champlain collided with a fishing boat off the Korean Peninsula in May. All of this is very disturbing. The Navy will also be looking at how it qualifies its junior officers to drive those ships and how sailors, by the way, are trained to stand watch, particularly in busy shipping lanes like the Straits of Malacca. Back to you.
All right, Kelly, thanks so much.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right, a massive search now is suspended for missing soldiers after a helicopter crash in Hawaii. 5 people on board that military Black Hawk. 2 helicopters were taking part in a routine night training exercise when one went missing last week. Rescue crews found debris and pieces of the helicopter's body, but no signs of any life. The Army has not yet determined the cause of that crash.
Well, breaking overnight, 4 men accused of being involved in those Barcelona terror attacks appear in court. This just hours after the suspected driver behind the van attack is shot dead by police. Spanish authorities say that 22-year-old Younes Abu Yaqub was wearing a fake suicide belt, and he was screaming Allah Akbar before he was gunned down by police in a town just outside of Barcelona. He is believed to be the final member of the terror cell behind last week's deadly attacks.
All right, protesters blast Charlottesville city council members during their first meeting since those violent clashes erupted last weekend in that city. Residents screaming and cursing at council members, calling for their resignations. As tensions escalated, speakers scrapped their agenda. They started addressing concerns from the crowd. This as the Charlottesville murder suspect appeared in court for the second time after being charged with 5 additional felonies. A judge declining to set bond for James Fields, who was accused of ramming his car into a crowd, killing one woman.
To extreme weather now. A 4.3 magnitude earthquake shattering the Italian island of Iquiza, killing at least 2 people and injuring 39 others. This incredible video showing crews just moments before they pulled a 7-month-old baby from the rubble. The earthquake took out power on the entire island. Crews still searching for trapped residents and tourists.
Okay, it is the event. Well, we all saw it, I think, that brought the entire country to a standstill yesterday. Millions of people looking up at the sky to see, for some of us, a total solar eclipse.
Many celebrities and politicians joining in on the fun, of course. President George W. Bush posting this photo with 4 generations of his family at their summer home in Maine.
And also, first daughter Ivanka Trump posting this Twitter video, dancing with her eclipse glasses on.
And our very own Janice Dean taking this selfie from Greenville, South Carolina. Janice, certainly looked like you had a lot of fun out there. I know people all over were trying to get the perfect shot. Did you?
We had the perfect shot, and I have a package coming up at the bottom of the hour I'm going to share with you guys. It was incredible. Everything I imagined and more. And the weather was great. Let's take a look at the current temperatures right now. 75 in New York, 75 in Chicago. We have the potential of strong storms across the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest today and the interior Northeast. Large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes. This is the bullseye. So if you live anywhere in these areas, just know what to do if there's a watch or a warning. Okay, coming up at the bottom of the hour, my eclipse experience in Greenville, South Carolina. Don't go away.
Oh, I can't wait. Now, did it get dark?
Oh, yes, it did.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the temperature dropped, and we had a little bit of a wind. It was incredible. We saw stars in the sky.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh, that's incredible.
Exciting. It was a little cloudy here in New York City, but it was still pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
I will show you pictures of my trip, and I'll bring you there.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Janice, thanks so much.
You got it.
Thanks.
13 minutes after the hour, a sinister plot thwarted. How terrorists were planning to use a Barbie doll to blow up a plane.
If we don't learn from history and have those reminders, then how are we going to move forward?
And history or hate, the controversy over Confederate monuments now making its way to New York City. We hit the streets to see what people really think. Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. From coast to coast, schools across America defying our president, vowing to protect illegal immigrants. Superintendents and school board members vowing to shield students' personal data and block ICE from school property. And new sanctuary school policies include training teachers if federal agents show up. About 1 million undocumented children live in the U.S. And hassled over hats. High school students say that they were harassed at Howard University for wearing pro-President Trump gear. Allie Vandy was visiting the historically black college in D.C. with her high school when she said that a man started cursing at her as someone else, then snatching her friend's hat right off of her, she said. And then a chaperone got it back, but the students were mocked, and also other students took videos and pictures of them, even calling them racist. The university responding on Twitter saying, in part, Howard students represent all that is right